Do you want to introduce myself? I think the main game that really sticks with me from my past is probably Ghosts and Ghouls. But that I feel like playing it today, I remember how hard it was, but I don't really get frustrated with it like I would with modern day games. But I think it's the whole combination of the music, the sounds. It kind of reminds me of when I used to play it with my uncle at his house, and I get more enjoyment than frustration, even if I can't do it and I just end up dying within the first 2 seconds. It's fine because that kind of happy memory and that nostalgic feeling is there to do with that game. I started off making music about 5 years ago, but it wasn't really until about 3 years ago that I started making it into what you'd call the industry. It's a great thing to be a part of. It's a tough thing to get into, and it's a tough thing to maintain when you're in it. It's a way that people can express themselves. They can show their identity through what they're passionate about and what they love doing. It's literally a part of them. It's who they are. It's like writing a journal. It's a way I can musically write down my thoughts. I kind of felt like sometimes things are just, they're overlooked. They're just everyday objects. Not really cherished, they're just props. Lyrical content is a great way of telling a story. Because my music doesn't have any lyrical content, the title of a song has so much more meaning to it. You look at song titles and you reflect a point in my life. 9 times out of 10 it would be a down point in my life. One of my songs is called We Won't Talk Again, and that's quite literally because at a point in my life I lost a friend that was very dear to me. It was literally in the sense of we won't talk again. Growing up, I never really spoke about how I was feeling to my friends or my family. I never really expressed my feelings. Finding music, it was a way I could express myself. Instead of talking to people like the normal person would, I expressed how I was feeling through my music. So I feel like music has been this kind of thing I can fall back on to help me through the kind of down and tough times.
So usually what I tend to like to do is go into record shops like this, and I'll have a look around at all sorts of different records, which is really good because sometimes I can find quite good ones that I think will give me inspiration as well. Another thing I do is I'll take them home and I'll sample various parts of them, which I'll then use in my music. So I've actually found a few dotted around, which is quite good. So yeah, I found this one. And I found this one. And these will be very good to use in my work, actually. I'll usually pick up quite a few when I'm there, and then that'll give me quite a bit of content to work from. So yeah, I think I'll go with these.
There is one major event in my life that kind of started it all off. As a kid, I would visit my uncle a lot, and we'd spend a lot of time together. We'd play these old kind of retro-y arcade games with all those iconic sounds. That was probably the highlight of my life so far. Around the time I was about 10, I think, my uncle unfortunately passed away. I never really processed it. I was told, and I just kind of nodded and was like, okay. I never went to his funeral or anything like that. And it wasn't until I was about 13 that I was introduced to music and subconsciously started to make these kind of sounds that would be found in these arcade games that I used to play with my uncle. I guess in a way, making these kind of sounds to begin with kind of reminded me of the the good times I used to have. It was very nostalgic for me. That was the kind of fundamental identity of my musical career. I feel like arcade games, yeah, they have more of a nostalgic feel, and with a connection to my music and everything. I feel like hearing that old arcade music kind of reminds me of where I first started, and it keeps me kind of grounded to make me realise where I've come from and how I got to where I am now. Every so often I come back to this kind of arcadey music, and it just makes me, it like kind of elevates my mood and just makes me feel happy, I guess. I may have moved away, but I've not forgotten where my roots, my identity has come from. It's a tough thing to stay in your beginning realm and also evolve. It might sound completely different, my music now, to what it first did, but there's always that kind of sense of this is where I came from. Being able to express myself and being able to share my creative thoughts through my music to an audience, it's one of the major influences within my life. I wouldn't be the same person I was without it. These points in my life have made my music evolve, and I think the major points of which they've evolved have been the rougher times that has made me change and improve, make my music better as if I were to make myself a better person. Things don't always stay how they are. Things can evolve and adapt and change. Things can influence our lives, and they can change us as people, and they can either make us better or worse, but we can learn from the experiences we go through and hopefully make ourselves better people.